Okay, we're going to look at writing the equation of a line through 2 points. This first question has the line graphed for us, and so we can kind of get a decent approximation of what the answer is, and then when we find our answer, we can sort of check it by looking at the graph. And then this next one, it's just 2 points, and so we're also going to look at the graph to see if our answer is reasonable. So, okay, let's go back to this one. So it looks like the b value for this thing is a little less than -1. So like -1 point something. So it's going to be probably some kind of negative fraction. And then the slope, we can actually sort of count it, but I'll go ahead and like go through how we do it with the slope formula. So to sort of count it on this grid, and by the way, when you're writing the equation of a line, you typically, like if you don't have the graph, you're always going to find the slope first. And then you'll use a point, one of these points, or any point on the line, but use the point to find the b. So looking at this particular line, if we used the graph, we'd go, going from left to right, we would go up 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up 6. And then right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those are both positive directions. And slope is the change in y over the change in x. So the change in y was a +6. The change in x is a +8, and then we can simplify that. Both of these are even, so that would simplify to 3/4, just dividing or canceling 2's. So we had the graph already, so that was not too big of a deal sorry, my dog is upset that I'm not paying attention to him. It wasn't too big of a deal to like just count it. If we don't already have the graph, we can use the slope formula. So let's just go ahead and do that. And especially if the slope, I don't know, if for some reason it's just hard to see on the graph, this is maybe more of a surefire way, like to make sure that we've got the right thing. But we're pretty sure it's going to be 3/4. So normally you would just do this once, right? Find the slope using whatever method seems reasonable. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Rusty, stop. And we're looking at any 2 points on this line, but it's safest to use the points that are emphasized, or, you know, if they gave us 2 points. So it looks like this one, I've kind of covered it up, but it looks like it's -5, -5. Yeah. And then this one, 3, 1. Oh my heavens. Stop. Okay, so then we take the difference in the y's, 1 minus -5. 1 minus -5 over the difference in the x's. And I want to make sure I'm kind of going the same order. So 3 minus -5. So both of these have 2 minus signs are going to become a plus sign. So we're going to have 1 plus 5 over 3 plus 5. And oh, we get that 6/8. 3/4. Okay, so we've got our slope is 3/4. We definitely know it's 3/4. We've done it twice now. So now I'm going to pick one of these points. It doesn't matter which one. You'll end up with the same answer in the end. Just pick the point that you think's easier to work with. So like I'm going to pick this one because it's positive coordinates. One of them is a 1. That just seems easier. So I'm going to pick 3, 1. and think of this as just an xy. And so we're thinking about our answer as y equals mx plus b. We know m is 3/4, so let's put all of that in. So x, y, and m, and then we'll be able to solve for b. This is one way to do this. This is not the only way to finish this problem out. So y is 1, m is 3/4, x is 3, and then plus b. We don't know. So then multiplying 3/4 times 3, we can think of that as a 3/1, so that we're multiplying the numerators together. 3 times 3 over the denominators multiplied together, 4 times 1. So you don't need a common denominator when you're multiplying with fractions. Let me give myself a little more space. Okay. So we're going to have 1 equals 9/4 plus b. And I need to subtract then 9/4 from both sides. Oops. So my b is going to end up being whatever 1 minus 9/4 is. And whenever I'm dealing with fractions, I think it's easier to kind of rewrite things sort of horizontally. So 1 minus 9/4. And then I can think of that as 1/1. And now I do need a common denominator. Adding or subtracting, you do need the common denominator. And so let's see, that 4 is going to be that denominator since the other one's just 1. So this is 4/4 minus 9/4. So negative 5/4, which is also, by the way, negative 1.25, which is reasonable looking at that, where that point is. Okay, so we now have our slope and we have our y-intercept. So our final answer, I'll go ahead and put it over here, y equals 3/4 x minus 5/4. And there we have it. And you can be like doubly sure if looking at this graph isn't enough, as long as it's not a test, then you can go to something like Desmos, so DESMOS.com. I've gone to it a whole bunch, so it's already like, I think it's .com. Yeah, so it's sort of automatically going to the calculator. Let me get it to go to the home page. So if you just Google Desmos, this should come up, and then graphing calculator is what you want. And so we had y equals, I'm just typing it in, 3/4, and then arrow out x, and then we had minus 5/4. And you might want to like adjust kind of how much it's zoomed in or zoomed out, but you can look at it and feel pretty good that it looks similar. And you can even go back and go, okay, -5, -5. That point should be on this line. -5 would be like here. Yeah, there it is, -5, -5. So if you click on a point, it tells you the coordinates. And then the other one was 3, 1. Ooh. Basically, yeah. There we go. So we can definitely feel extremely confident that this is correct. And I think, if you're struggling with a particular topic, kind of, you get one right, you get one wrong, it's worth it to use some technology to help you see whether or not you've got the right answer. Okay, so let's do one more of these. And this one, we weren't given the graph, we were just given the coordinates of the points. But it's a good idea to go ahead and plot these points and just have an idea of what we're sort of shooting for. And so on your paper, it's a little easier to draw a very quick graph. Let me see if I can. I wonder what that math assistant is. I should play with that a little bit. Oh, it will like solve? Okay. Anyway, sorry. Let me do that. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And try and make your little tick marks as even as possible. I have a harder time with that on the computer. Okay, so 2, 6. 2, 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. Right here. And then -4, -4. I don't know why I went backwards. No, -4, +4. Now my dog is climbing on my back. Okay. Here we go. Okay, and so then connecting these, we can see that our slope is going to be positive because this is an increasing line. It's rising as we go from right to left. And it's not terribly steep, so I don't think it's going to be a large number. It's probably going to be some kind of a fraction. So just trying to kind of get an idea doing this little stair step thing. And it's a little harder to do the counting business when you don't have a grid. If you have graph paper, then you might be able to do it. But we also can tell it looks like that B is going to be a little more than +5. So let's go ahead and find the equation. So difference in the y's. So we always start with the slope, right? Difference in the y's over difference in the x's. And doesn't matter which of these points is your x1, y1 and which is the x2, y2. So then 6 minus 4 over 2 minus -4. Be careful with those double negatives. So 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 plus 4 is going to be 6. So we have 2 over 6. And that is 1/3. And by the way, if you put this in a calculator, you would get 0.3 repeating, which there's no way to put that in ALEX. Like you can write it as 0.3 with a line over it. But ALEX is going to only allow you to use the 1/3. They'll count it wrong if you do 0.3 or something. Okay, so now we're going to pick either of these 2 points. I'm again going to pick the one where everything's positive just because I know that I tend to make sign errors. So 2, 6, and that's going to be my x and y. And then we just found out that m is 1/3. And so we're plugging into y equals mx plus b. And we're going to solve for b. And we know it should end up being, it's going to be some kind of a fraction, but something that works out to be a little more than 5. So let me come over here. So y is 6, m is 1/3, and then times the x is 2, and then we don't know b. So this is going to be pretty similar to how we did it the previous one. Put the 2 over 1, and nothing cancels, so we end up with 6 is equal to 2/3 plus b. And we're going to subtract 2/3 from both sides. So then I'll kind of go over here. B is going to be 6 minus 2/3. So we can put 6 over 1. And then we're going to have that 3 is going to be the common denominator. So I've got to make the 6 into something over 3. So multiplying by 3 on the top and bottom, I get 18/3 minus 2/3, which is 16/3. Whew, okay, so we've got our 1/3 and our 16/3. And you might notice how your 2 fractions here, your m and your b, are seem to be kind of coming out with a common denominator. It's not always going to work out that way because sometimes when you're solving for b, things simplify nicely. But a lot of these practice problems in ALEX, it does work out that way. So 1/3 x plus 16/3. And by the way, you can put 16 divided by 3 in your calculator, or you can think of converting it to a mixed number. 16 divided by 3 is 5 with 1 left over. Or if you put it in the calculator, it would be 5.33333. And oh, that's what we thought it was supposed to be. And it kind of, to me, seems reasonable that if we go up 1, right 3, up 1, right 3. That's what this slope is. So this seems pretty good just looking at, our very rough sketch here. But again, we can go into Desmos and just type this in and look at it and see in particular if these 2 points are on that line. So you can kind of, if you're finding the equation of something, go ahead and like plot what they give you and see if everything's kind of looking correct. But anyway, here we go. So I better end this video because my puppy's gonna have a conniption fit. Okay.